I mean, now it's not even really chasing the numbers. It's like learning a whole new thing.
You got to find what works for you, to be able to get through those.
Once I was pushing with Trevor, he pushed me hard, with going heavier with reps. And for me, I don't feel good. It's mentally draining me.
So part of the recovery aspect for you is keeping all this other shit out of your life, outside of, training, work, and your girlfriend. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Table Talk. Today, my guest is Phillip Herndon. Herndon?
Yeah.
I even wrote. I have to write people's last names. So I wrote her, parentheses, done. And I didn't even say it that way.
Yeah, there's that in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of known for screwing up last names of this, but real brief, condensed bio. You're the holder of 4 all-time world records. At one time, it was 6 all-time world records.
Yeah, I had 6.
And I took this off your Instagram, so I assume that it's still current. The wrap squat is 959, 242.
Yep.
Sleeve 870, 242.
Yep.
Then the lightest squat the lightest to squat 900 pounds, weighing 258.
Yeah.
And then the lightest to squat a grand. That was with sleeves.
Yeah, and then the grand was with wraps.
And the grand was with wraps, and that was at 265 when you did that. And you're a 911 dispatcher.
Yep.
Which should be interesting. We're going to talk about shift work as we move through here, because we get a lot of questions about that. I also get a lot of questions about mindset, which we're going to dig into a little bit. But I want to throw this out to the people who are listening first. When you guys submit questions and you want to know more about mindset, let us know in the comments. And if you're listening to this on a podcast network, go to YouTube and put it in the comments. Tell me a little bit more about what you mean by mindset, because there's a lot of facets to that. Where is that getting psyched up for a lift? Is it how you organize your life? Is it visualization? Just put some kind of comment to kind of let us know what you're looking for with that, because it is a theme that comes up with every guest that I have. And I'm pretty sure it's going to come up today as well. And it will be able to allow us to ask questions that you guys want to the guest in relation to that one topic. So with that set aside, we'll get started. Going through your history, I like to do a timeline on people and then topics. So the timeline is you did your first meet when you were in high school, but I don't really want to say that was a meet because it was a weight training class you were in.
Well, so we actually competed at the, I think it was the PSPCA. It was at the Glen Mills. They were a big equipped I guess federation. I don't even actually know what it was. But that was that was my first sanctioned meet in high school. I don't think it's on open powerlifting or anything.
Yeah. So when was that?
So that was 2012 and then 2013.
All right. And Glen Mills, is that where Mark Deppen coaches?
Oh, I have no.
No, that's Monsignor. I screwed that up. But why do I know Glen Mills? For some reason, they have a powerlifting team, right?
Yeah, it was pretty big. I don't know if it's still a thing or not, but in high school, that was the place to go.
Yeah,
without it being USAPL or anything like that.
When we have high school powerlifting here, and high school powerlifting in Texas is kind of a whole other animal.
Yeah.
But up where you're from, I don't want to say it's like Texas, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
So you did the one meet, but was there a season for the guys that were doing it all the time, or the lifters that were doing it all the time?
Yeah, I mean, that was their sport. And that was I think it was a high school. They had dorms and stuff there. I don't know what kind of high school it was, but
a private powerlifting high school.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's what it was, all geared lifting. And that was the only federation. So my coach was Nico Hauslander.
Mm-hmm.
So he took us up there. We just started doing a powerlifting team in our high school. So we just jumped into it, and that was the first championship, high school championship powerlifting meet.
So you were doing track. See, I don't know if you say playing track, doing track. I don't know how what the context of that. Running track, right? Well, what if you're a thrower? Because I was a thrower, I right?
As well, so.
And football as well. So if we go back younger, what sports were you doing in like elementary school?
Yeah, growing up, I played like soccer, baseball. I even did basketball. I played like pee wee football for a little bit. That's where I tore. I actually tore my ACL twice in my right knee, playing football. So I was like 8 years old when I first tore it, and then I came back like 6 months later and tore it again. They were just partial tears, not full tears, but so yeah, I just did football, baseball, soccer, and then basketball.
So pretty much year round, you were doing something.
Yeah, I was very active.
The reason I like to look into that is there's certain motor abilities that we develop as we age, and when you look at top lifters today, I wonder, like, where did they develop originally?
Yeah.
The explosive strength, endurance, or we don't think powerlifting has so much endurance, with the explosive strength, mental fortitude, and stuff. Where did that originally kind of stem from? High school, you're almost a little bit past a lot of those developmental stages. It's usually a little bit younger than that.
Yeah.
With the sports that you were involved in, you had team sports within individual sports, and the track, you still hold the 100-meter record in your high school now. I think we have a misprint on our bio that we have for you because it was 11.7. I believe it was 10.7.
So I ran a 10.7 by a hand clock. But when I went to States, it was electronic.
Yeah.
And I ran 11.07.
Okay.
So that one I counted. I'd rather have that one as the record because it beat, both of them obviously beat the record, but I want it to be like an actual electronic time, not like a hand time. So
did you gravitate more towards the individual sports than the team sports?
Yeah, kind of. Like I always like counting on myself, mainly because like if I mess up, then I can like adjust that and fix that problem or whatever problem it was. With team sports, it's like you can't tell someone to go do something better.
Yeah. Well, were there times like, because for myself, I was the same way, to where wrestling, football, then powerlifting. And, I can distinctly remember back to multiple football practices where I'm madder than hell.
Yeah.
Because like I'm busting my ass and everybody else is water. They're just slapdicks that don't want to do anything. And do you have memories like that as well?
Yeah. I mean, like, just, you have like someone mess up and you'd have to like run. Like I hated running, and somehow like I always get stuck running with like, it was a team. So when someone messes up, you go do sprints, or, you got to stay late after practice and do hills. Like that stuff is always annoying. So I'm like, I didn't mess up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm over here, I push myself hard in like the gym during school, like, film, all that stuff. And, Joe Schmo like messes up and here we go.
Well, yeah, you rely on 11 other people or whatever it is, and you're losing.
Yeah.
We
sucked.
Yeah. Well, for me, like wrestling and powerlifting, the result was my own work kind of displayed the result.
Yeah.
As well as the accountability.
Yeah.
If I didn't do something, then it kind of showed up.
Yeah.
I didn't learn till later, sometimes that meats can be meats. Like you can do all the work.
Yeah.
And on the opposite side, sometimes you can not do all the work, but then have a great showing. Just kind of an evolution that seems that you went through as well. With that first meet, were you hooked on it, or was it just like dabbling in it, and then later you did another meet, then you're like, this is what I want to lean into?
Like, so my first meet in high school.
Yeah.
I kind of did it like, so in between the football seasons, like I was like, I need to get stronger and faster and all that stuff. So I like just trained for that. And then my coach, the strength coach, Nico, he was also into powerlifting. So he was like, let's, try to get the football team to compete in powerlifting too, to see like just where we were, how we are towards like other schools. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Just because like the progress part of it, like, and it was just like, well, for that one, it was like a team, because like if everybody won or placed well, you win the championship.
Did you all get better?
Yeah. I mean, from like 2012, 2013, like we got stronger. The football team, not like the record didn't show, but all the players got better.
Yeah.
Everybody's like squat, bench, deadlift, hang clean, got better. We got faster. We jumped higher, stuff like that. So
it's funny how that works.
Yeah.
You get stronger.
Yeah.
You get better.
Yeah.
I just sarcastically state that because so many coaches today still haven't quite figured that whole thing out. So then after high school, how did you get into that next meet? Was it through that same coach? Because you started through the USAPL.
Yeah. So Nico had he started it was just out of a garage. So I would go there and train with him every day of the week. Just, kind of just going through the motions, seeing because at this point I graduated, so I'm still kind of figuring out what I want to do. I knew I wasn't going to go to college, but I still wanted that competitive aspect because I still had a lot in me. Mm-hmm. So I was doing personal training at a gym and then training, for powerlifting. And I think my first meet was I think it was December of 2013 or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So I had, I graduated in May of that year. So I had 5 months to really push myself just in powerlifting, and the growth that I got and my strength went up tremendously. I was like, this is fun. I actually started out in a conjugate way, a lot of bands, a lot of chains. And I was it was old and rusty. And I was I like this. It was gritty, kind of how I felt playing football. All the work was on me, in the off season. I had to get gritty and, pull tires, flip tires just to get better. So it kind of put in that aspect of this is, I enjoy this.
So you graduated and you weighed about 150. And in this meet here, I believe you were 181.
Yeah.
So you put on 30 pounds.
Yeah.
After graduating.
I lost. So when I was playing football, I was eating as much as I say that, now I know what eating a lot is. But then thought I was eating a lot, and I was probably 165 playing football. Then when I ran track, because it goes after football, so I lost a little bit of weight. So yeah, I graduated at 150. And then once I started focusing, because I wasn't running anymore, cardio for football or anything like that. So my weight kind of just started creeping back up. I started learning how to actually train. And then, I had to coach and stuff. So specifically for powerlifting.
What was your it's hard to frame these in the right context because your mental discipline's way better now than it was then. But back then, would you say that your mental discipline for powerlifting was the highest it could be for you at that time? Or were you still fucking around partying, trying to figure out what you wanted to do?
Yeah. I mean, I was probably still reserved. I wasn't I really wasn't all in. I don't know. It took me probably 4 or 5 years to actually think that's I wanted to actually do this, try to reach to the top. Just because at first, I didn't think I had the, genetics to really, I don't want to say genetics. I would just say it didn't feel like I could reach those numbers that the people were doing. I'd always said I wanted to.
Yeah.
And now I'm reaching those numbers that I said, and that's you can do anything you put your mind to.
Really. So all those years that you were in the USAPL, you're kind of 75% in.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know much about nutrition. I had a coach, kind of seemed like the normal cookie cutter stuff for coaching. It wasn't, and it kind of started dying off on me because it wasn't I was doing the same thing so consistently that it didn't wasn't fun. Mm-hmm. So I was in the conjugate for a little bit, for I'd say the first 2 years, and then I went to the 5x5, 5-3-1 type of thing for a while. And I kind of fell off a little bit, and I wanted to qualify for the Arnold's, and you need a 450 Wilks for that at the time. So I was I'm going to try this year to really push for that. And I hit it at my nationals of 2017. I qualified for the Arnold. Then I was like, kind of doesn't really like feel like anything because I'm still like I'm not like a big Wilks person. Like I want to see numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like I'm just chasing this 450 dots or Wilks, or wasn't really like exciting anymore once I got there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't have that like what I reach for now.
What was the catalyst where you knew that where you had the confidence, let's say it's a confidence type of thing, mm-hmm. that you could actually take it to the highest level?
So I started training in reps for a little bit, and my squat obviously went higher. I started squatting like 700. The Arnold I qualified for, I never did it, but I went to the Arnold and I was watching the animal cage, and then like seeing those numbers there, I was like, my goal was to be in the animal cage. Mm-hmm. So I was like looking at like Dan Green, all those guys in there, like what numbers are they doing? And I was like, 750 squat, 800. That's kind of around where they were at the time. Because that was really good. Mm-hmm. 2017.
Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah.
It was like the top. And I was like, I squatted 617 at nationals at like 205 body weight, 2017. So I was like, I'm not that far off. So I was like, I'm just going to I saw them using wraps. I think like Dan Bell was there. Maybe even Chris Duffin. I saw him do like the squat, the row, a deadlift, little thing. So I was like, I'm going to throw wraps on and see how it feels. So I bought like a pair off Amazon, like Inzer. They're like super thin, mm-hmm. feeling like an ace bandage. But I was like, I started using them. I started like repping 600. And then I got to like 7. It was like low 7, like 730. And I was like, at that point, I kind of knew like, oh, like I can keep pushing this. Like the numbers aren't impossible. So
then what else changed during that time? Because if it was 75% focus, then it goes, 100% focus. So is that finding different people to train with?
Yeah. Yeah. So I switched gym, to another garage gym that I had got a bunch of like Texas squat bar, a bunch of kilo plates, because that's what like all the meets were. I was like, I want to train with what the meets are like, mm-hmm. On that equipment. So like I had a group of guys, a little bit older than me, and they were like, weren't really into the powerlifting part, but they were trying to get stronger just like in general. So I was like, before it was just me and one other person training. And I was like, I'll try to get into like a group of people and just like a different mindset and see how that was. And they kind of like pushed me, like saying like I could reach that level of like strength that I wanted to if I really, push myself. So I switched federations to the USPA. Mm-hmm. And I did a Philly Fit Expo, and I that's where I squatted like 730. I benched in the 4s, deadlifted like 7. So I kind of like figured that was like the group of people I needed to stay around. Like,
how did you go about finding that group of people?
It was a part of a church gym actually. They were like the strongest people in there. So like I just kind of started talking to them a little bit, chirping in their ear. And like they didn't squat or deadlift or anything. They were like big benchers. I mean, everybody wants a big bench. Yeah. So
I think it's deadlift now, though. I think it's kind of changed a little bit.
It really is.
But then
it was the big bench. So that was my weak point. And I was like, well, maybe if I train people, like I got the squat down. Like I was always like a good squatter. But like, I don't really, I still took like advice from people that squatted very well. But for benching, I was like, I need to be around people that like are good, like upper body, mm-hmm. Benching, and maybe like learning how to like get a bigger back, because that's like what they all did that. Like, just a big bench, big back, stuff like that. So,
well, the reason I'm asking is there's a lot of people now that may be training in their garage or somebody else's garage, and they want to get around stronger people, and they don't know how.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's a process, you know, and it takes a little bit of effort. So it sounds like you just figured out, you just looked for the strongest people that were in your
commercial area,
and then found a way to wiggle your way in, you know, with them, you know, from that.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like where I grew up was a very like small rural area. So there wasn't like there wasn't like a Gold's that was like all like these like strong people went to. I mean, it's just a commercial gym, and not many people like lifted in that area. I mean, York Barbell was like 30 minutes away from me, but I didn't know like how to get around those people who were in that area, and they were still like equipped lifting, and I was like kind of not like into the equipped lifting yet. So yeah, I mean, I got lucky kind of just falling into like I just found this church gym that had a bunch of strong people in it. And I don't know, I'm not like super, I don't like just randomly go up to people and talk, but like I kind of like, you know, get around them, like ask them if they need a spot, kind of just like, you know, friendly.
Yeah.
You know, just, you know, then you start talking to them, and then I just started lifting with them like the time they went in. And once that church gym closed, we kind of like, I would say we were decent friends then. And, you know, he had a garage, and he was like, I want to start a garage gym. Like, do you want to join? You know, like kind of like come over there. And I was like, yeah, like I'll, you know, get some equipment that I want, because they don't, you know, like I said, they don't squat or deadlift. So
yeah,
I kind of like provided all that part. But yeah, kind of just like, we had like 4 people training in this garage on like every day at the same time.
Now, when did you start being a dispatcher?
When was that? 2017, April of 2017.
So about that same time?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that work when you're trying to train with other people and then you're working 12s?
Yeah. So one guy worked for BG&E, so he had like a swing shift as well, and he did 12s. And then the other guy worked super early in the morning, and he got off early. So it kind of like we fell like at this 2 p.m. time that was like good for everybody. My shift starts at 5:30, so I like did a quick workout, you know, showered, and then went to work. So it kind of just, it all fell like in line, which I was just like, it kind of meant to be.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's like everybody's like schedule worked out. Everybody's like kind of the same driven. They like just want to get stronger in general. Like not necessarily they want to get stronger in deadlift or bench or squat, but they want to just get stronger everywhere. For that, like what their goals were.
All right. So while you're squatting, what are they doing?
Squatting,
like just lats?
They're just, yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. They're benching or doing dumbbells, shoulders, the typical like bodybuilding kind of workout, like split, for just upper body really. But, yeah, I mean, they would come in and spot me, help load plates, whatever, really. But I mean, it was like a small garage. So like in between sets, we just kind of like, we're talking, you know, just bullshitting really. But
how were you training through that period? So you get through the USAPL part, right? And then you start to get more serious about your training. I kind of know how you train now, which we'll get into that, but what was in that middle time?
I'm trying to think. I want to say I had a coach, but I think there was a little bit of like time where I didn't have a coach, and I was kind of just like, just looking what everybody else was doing. And then like just trying to see what worked for me, because my schedule is so weird, and like I don't get, you know, the 8 hours of sleep that everybody wants to get, or I don't always feel good. Like I wake up, I'm like, I go to the gym and I'm like, I have to be here. Like I don't want to be here, but I have to. So like I would say I did like an RP method type of programming. You know, I would do I did a lot of reps then. So I was like doing 4 sets of 5, 4 sets of 8 in that range for a while. And my squat, my strength just kind of blew up. My squat went, into the 8s. And my goal was like, it's always been like an 800-pound squat. I have no idea why. I like finally did it and I was like, well, that sucked. It was cool for that moment. Like,
yeah.
I was like, now what? Like, now what, 900 or something like that. But like the training it was just, I guess like linear, like it just, I would just try to increase from each session as long as I felt okay.
Then you dropped the reps when they became harder to do. So you left the 8s when the late 8s became hard and you dropped it to 5s.
Yeah.
And then
the
3s.
And then once I started getting like, leveled out, I would kind of switch to like, I would push like my front squats a lot. And then kind of the same thing. Like I liked Paul's front squats, the most. I'm not sure why, but I think it helped my like explosiveness out of the hole a ton. And then also like my core for it. I never did like core like specifically.
Yeah.
So that was like my core work. I always did belt lifts, but I would always do the squats. I wouldn't push them as hard so I could push my front squats a lot. I would just do them same day. And then I kind of like was like lost. Like I'd try to go to like a meet. I was like psyching myself out. I'm like, what do I like? Should I push this hard this close or like not? So then I got a coach, Trevor Jaffe. So he helped me out a lot. And he kind of still had me on like higher rep stuff. But he helped me with like a lot of technique things. And then kind of switching like variations because he also did like a little bit of, I think, conjugate himself. So I was like asking him about that for a little bit. So we did like a lot of pin squats, just like switching it up. Like I was free squatting so much that it was just like, I need something different.
So what made you think you needed something different?
I started getting like that bored feeling. Like, I'm just like, well,
5.5s is boring as fuck.
Yeah. Now I'm then I'm like getting, 5-pound PRs. And now I'm like, I wish I could get a 5-pound PR. But then it's just like, I should be, because I had such like a fast progression through like the 6s, 7s, and 8s. I was like, man, this like stopped. So that's kind of what I was like, something needs to change because I'm like getting frustrated. I'm not like having fun anymore. So that's kind of like why
What period was that then? About what?
I'd say like 2019. So I did the Kern US Open. I think it was 2019. And I think that's when I started with Trevor. Yeah, somewhere around there.
At what point did you, because it seems like you kind of figured it out before, but at what point did you figure out, I call it auto-regulating. At what point did you figure out that you need to regulate yourself based upon how you feel and basically pull in the reins and take full control of your training?
Yeah. So, once I like was pushing with Trevor, he pushed me hard, like with like going heavier with reps. And for me, like my schedule was just so back and forth and I don't feel good. Like it's like mentally draining me. Like I was like burning my CNS out, just like thinking about the workout. And like by the time I'm like, missing reps and I'm like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, I should be pushing like way past this. Like,
how much is the weight you're squatting at that time?
So I'm like in the mid 7s doing like 5s. Yeah. So it's just hard to do sets with like, at the time my squat max was like 850. I think I squatted 850 at York Barbell that year. So I'm doing, reps with 750, doing triples at 775 and like multiple sets. And I was like, I popped my adductor once. Just my body hurt. Like, I was like, I just don't, my recovery is not good enough for this type of training. Like, I know there's people that do it sets and sets and sets and at the same weight. I'm like, I just can't. Like, and then once you get to like, I feel like a certain weight and doing it for so many reps, like, what's the point of doing those 2 extra reps if you're doing them like wrong? Like, I'm doing like, just say like 750 for 5. The first 3 are great, but I'm like gassed, and I'm like, the 4th and 5th rep are like grinding it out and like not in the same position. And for me, like, I don't like, now I'm like, I don't do that. So like, I think it's just like, I think you're almost going backwards at that point. At least for me, I felt that way.
Well, I would say at a certain point, if it's a set of 5 and 2 of them are suboptimal technique, almost 50% of that set was reinforcing bad technique, which, you got to ask yourself, like, what's the point of this? I always had a problem with, because I trained that way for a long time before coming to Westside, is just mentally, I had a hard time using the same weight for 3 sets. It's like, we can't add fucking 10 pounds. Like, I already did this.
It's not exciting.
No, it sucked, right? Because you just going, like, I can relate to what you're saying. Just going to the gym, it's like, well, fuck, I'm going to do this 3 fucking times. Like, we can't like just lower the first set and then go you know what I'm saying?
But it's like, why would we just do the same thing 3 times?
I understand, I understand why they're doing it, but it's like, mentally, this is so stupid. And when I was coming up, it was pretty much everybody that I knew had 1 top set, maybe a back down set, but there was that 1 top set, and everything kind of went into that. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute, like, what's the point? What's the point of these other ones? And
that's kind of where I got to, is like, you do this 3 top sets, then you'd have to like back down. So I'm like, can I do anything else? Like, I feel like if I just did like 3 sets of 20 on the leg press, slow and controlled, and like I would get more benefit out of it. Like, I'm not loading my spine more for no reason. Like, I just did 775 for 3 triples 3 times, or for 3 sets. And now I got to do it back down to like 600. What's like, what am I getting out of it? You know what I mean? So and then, once I kind of realized that, like, the percentage, like, I was in the percentage training and RP like mixture. The percentage gave me like something to think about. So like, I get, you get your program from your coach, like a couple days beforehand, you see like 80%, and you're like, what's that number? All right, I'm going to think about doing that for 3 days now. Like, that's my goal. Like, that's what I want to hit. And then you put the RPE into it. Like, oh, I feel good. Like, let's, bump it up a little bit. But my thing with coaches is like, they want you to like stay there. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. Like, I feel good. Like, let me just with my work schedule, it's just like, I don't always have good days. So like, if I have this good day, let me like push a little bit. And I think like,
well, you're also going to regulate it down too if it's not a great day.
Which, and then like, I feel like for me I'm like 80% is my minimum. So like, even if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, I'm still trying to hit 80%. And it's like, I just shit the bed on that. And then I like, I don't know, either tweak something, hurt myself, or I'm just like going backwards even more because I missed it, or I'd like grinded the shit out of it and it was pointless.
At what point did you tear your pec?
So that was 2021. Yeah. So actually just 2 years ago, I tore it. Was it September 24th or something?
That was 2 weeks out.
Yeah. 2 weeks out from the, it was USPA Pro before it was the Showdown, or the opposite.
God, you got a lot of meats in here, man.
Yeah, I didn't even go to it, so I don't think it's
okay. So yeah, it wouldn't be in there.
It was either USPA Pro or the Showdown. They switched the names like 1 year after another. Yeah, so I was 2 weeks out, and I had my last heavy bench for a double. So it was like 507 for a double. And the first one probably moved the best it's ever moved. And then the second one just, I didn't feel anything like indicating, like I've felt like when my pecs are tight or like, hey, you should probably stop. And this is like the best day ever. Went down with my second one. As soon as I pressed, it just popped. Kind of went numb. But yeah, so that was 2 years ago.
And was it a tendon rupture?
Yeah, so I did a full rupture, tendon off the bone, and then the muscle off the tendon.
Okay. So they had to reattach.
Yeah, so I had surgery 3 weeks after that. Yeah, the MRIs showed not, well, when they went in there for surgery, it was only supposed to be an hour surgery, and it took 2 hours because when they cut me open, they're like, oh, this is way worse.
Yeah.
When I got the MRI, it's like still swollen. And
how far down did your pec roll?
So it actually just pulled way over. So this side's like way higher. It still is, like it's still way higher. And I have like a huge divot in the right side of my pec. So
I did that to my left one, and my whole pec was under my nipple. The whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And it's, I remember because it didn't bruise at all, because it was just all tendon. And Louis came up to me afterwards, because it's right before I moved to Columbus, and I'm flexing it, and I'm like, this, because I heard it, you hear it. It's like, whack, like everybody heard it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this looks fucked up. And he's like, no, you just pulled it. And I'm like, no, it's like twice as big as the other one. Like there's something fucked up.
Yeah.
And
it's gone.
It's gone. But oddly for me, it never bruised. And a month later or whatever, after I graduated, I had it reattached. And how was the process for you because that was muscle and that? So did it bruise up on you?
Yeah. So it was kind of weird. So as soon as it happened, like my whole arm just went numb, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, I knew it was gone. Like it was actually the first time I ever put headphones in. I don't work out with like music or like I could care less to be quiet. I actually prefer to be quiet. So like it was like, I don't know what I changed, but I was like, I'm gonna put headphones in, and I didn't hear it, but my the spotter, he was like, it sounded like just like a wet like towel like cracking. And so I got up, and I'm like, this is not good. Like it's numb. And so I went to get it checked out like immediately. Obviously I only do x-rays right there. It's like, it doesn't do anything. And I'm like, it's gone. Like I need an MRI. And doctors are just like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I can't move my arm. And they're like pulling my arm over, and I'm like, dude, this just happened. Like it hurts. So like when I got back home, it was probably like an hour and a half after it happened, and I had this it was like a black like circle right on my bicep. It was actually my bicep where it attaches.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just every day got worse, and it took like a week for it actually to bruise in my pec, which it actually was lower. So I figured it was probably just like it just took a while for it to show. So yeah, I did. So it was during that whole time period of like you can't go to doctors because of that or the COVID thing.
Yeah.
So it took them 3 weeks to get me in, and I was training still. Like I was squatting with like safety squat bar the day after. I was doing a bunch of like my opposite arms. I was doing like single arm shoulder press, dumbbell press. Like I just kept training. Like I was like, I already knew it's done for, so I'm just gonna keep training. And then so the 3 weeks came up, I had surgery, and the surgery went really well. I had it on Friday, so by Monday nobody should do this probably, but I was back to squatting with a transformer bar, because it wasn't as hard as the safety squat bar pads.
Yeah.
I was still in a sling, just squatting like three plates. I was like, I can't sit home. Like I just can't sit there and do nothing. So I was still doing legs. I did legs 3 times a week. Still training my left arm. And then I started PT like 2 weeks after, maybe a week after. But we have a PT in the gym, so I just went there for my training sessions.
How long were you immobilized?
So I couldn't really move, I guess it was like the first week I was very stiff. Like I just couldn't get my arm over my head. I was still in a sling for like 3 weeks. And only at the gym, I just put the sling on just so in case like anybody would run into me. Or, you know, people don't like pay attention anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get that.
Or like you just like you don't even like think about it. You just try to move your arm fast. Like I had a couple times I was like, oh God, like please be there still. So yeah, you know, it's 3 weeks or 2 weeks I started PT, and I started getting my mobility back. I was like able to put like a shirt on again because I was just wearing like cutoffs because I couldn't get my arm through. And it wasn't really like a terrible process. I mean, it kind of like it made me like realize like this stuff happens and like this is like the make or break. Like I had definitely had moments of like I kept myself busy by going into the gym, even though I had those moments of like, am I going to be like able to bench like what I was, or like am I like my bench wasn't like super competitive, and I'm like now it's definitely not going to be. And I was like, I don't even know if it is like worth it anymore. Like I had those thoughts. I'm sure a lot of people do when you get injured like that.
Well, they're telling you too that you probably won't be able to get back to where you were.
Yeah.
Did the doctor have that conversation with you?
Yeah. I mean, he was telling me I didn't even need surgery. He's like, you know, in a couple of weeks, like when the inflammation dies down, like you'll be able to like do normal people stuff. I'm like, I don't like that word. Like, I don't want to be a normal person. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not ready for that yet. I was like, I want to bench 500 again. Like, I want to bench over 500. And he was like, all right, like, I'll do what I can. And my PTs actually said that he put like a lot in there. Like, it was thick. So whatever he put back together was really good. He said it was probably one of the best pec surgeries ever done, he's seen. So that kind of made me like feel good in that like aspect. And then the doctor was like, you know, they always say like go light, like start off light. And I'm like, what's light? Like, my dad actually was with me, and he was like, you need to like tell him like what light is, like give him a number. He's like 5 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't thinking that. You know, if I like light for us is like starting off like 30 pounds doing something, you know, for a dumbbell or after an injury like that. But I wasn't thinking like 5 pounds, or even I was doing body weight, like push-ups for a while. So more of the process, you know, I was doing like a lot of needling, dry needling. One thing I didn't know was like the scar tissue kind of like binds to the scar or like the skin, and it like gives it that like it doesn't move very well, and that was very painful to experience. The PT just like grabbing my like scar and like breaking that up, and you know, kind of after like the 3 week mark, I started like getting like the mobility back, and I was able to start doing stuff with my right arm, like tricep push downs. Like I was trying to get back as fast as I could, but like very like slow. I can't even say that. As fast as I could in a smart way.
Yeah.
So like I was like, well, I'm not gonna be able to, you know, shoulder press or bench press on this side for a while. So let me get my bicep stronger and my tricep stronger. And I kept training my left side, which helped. Like I didn't lose a lot of size on my right. Like I took measurements before, and I lost like maybe an inch in my arm, which isn't a lot after like a surgery and being down for a while.
Yeah.
So after like some of the boring stuff, PT, I started with, this is probably like 6 weeks in I was able to do like the earthquake bar.
Well, through this process, you have follow-ups with the surgeon?
Yeah.
When was the first follow-up that you had?
It was like a week and a half, I think. It was like 10 days.
And then what'd that conversation go like?
He said my scar was healing really fast. So I was taking like peptides to help the healing with that, BPC and TB 500. So yeah, I mean, he said everything was looking really good. He said, just keep doing what you're doing. But also just keep being smart about it, because you are healing faster than, most people. But yeah, I mean, he said everything I was doing was really good. So, and then I think I had one more after that, and he pretty much cleared me for being able to like just do free range like stuff, just like moving it around, don't be like careless about it, but I don't have to wear my sling anymore. I can start moving in the gym and doing like exercises, which I kind of was already like doing just from my PT.
Yeah.
For like the mobility and all.
Well, I'm always interested to see how these conversations change over time, because it was probably 25 years ago or whatever that I had mine done. And for some reason, the dude told me, I remember 400 for some reason. I tore it with 520. It's like, you're probably only going to bench 400. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, where the fuck's the 400 come from? And, I relayed back to him that the 520 that I tore it on wasn't even my best. My best was 550 for a double, and without a shirt.
Yeah.
And I still didn't know how to use the shirt. So realistically, if I knew how to use the shirt, it's probably 600. Yeah. So if I apply that to the 400 you just said, we're right back to my 500. So I'm logically trying to explain all this shit to him.
Yeah.
And still can never get an answer on like where the fuck did the 400 come from?
Yeah.
And so part of it, it's funny though, because you progress further and then you bench more than you did, then they want a picture of you to put in their office as like a success story. Right. It's like, fucker, wait a minute.
You said I was going to push.
Yeah, you told me.
Stuff.
Yeah, you told me not to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Now you want my fucking picture on the wall. But it seems like things they're better now than they were. How long do you think it was until you had a bar in your hand, say 45 pounds in your hand, going full range of motion in the bench?
So
just the bar,
the bar, yeah. I'd probably say it was like, I want to say like it was probably 4 months after my surgery. So I was working with the earthquake bar a lot, and my goal was to get to like 225, 275.
Okay.
With the earthquake bar. So I was just with the bamboo bar. I don't even think, probably like 10 pounds.
Yeah.
If that. Yeah. So I was doing that. I was just doing sets of 20, just tons of sets of there.
When do you think that was? Like 3 weeks
so
after?
That was 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah. Okay. So I waited a while. But in between there, the 3 months, like that was the first time pressing.
Yeah.
Bench pressing. So I was doing like the single arm push downs. I was working my triceps a lot.
Okay.
And once I was able to go overhead, I'd probably say it was like 2 months, I started doing dumbbell press. So I started with, I think I grabbed like a 5 pound. That was like the lightest we had. And it felt so weird because it was like super light, but it was like shaky. Like, it's like, wait, I still have my strength. I mean, it's only 5 pounds, but
yeah,
like it was just like, I don't even know if this is doing anything. So I was doing that stuff in between the 2 and 3 months. Like I was building that up very slowly. Just a ton of reps. And then once I got to the earthquake bar, it took me like, I was there. Yeah, it was probably like it was like a month. It was like 4 weeks. Then I started going into the straight bar. And I don't even know why that was super scary. Because it was only 45 pounds and I was doing the earthquake bar with 245s hanging off from bands, like bouncing everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this bar, like, I guess because I'd like was on the same bench I tore it on, and I don't know if that was just like, wow, this is weird. Like, I'm like going down really slow, and I'm like, stay together.
Now with the scar tissue, once you started benching again with the straight bar and kind of building back up, did you have instances where you thought you retore it, but it was just scar tissue issues?
Yeah. So like I had like, I don't want to say like popping, but it kind of just felt like stuff was just like slowly like it was just stretching almost.
Okay. But nothing that would pop that made you think, oh shit, I need to go get it looked at again.
No, I never had any of those moments. And I was actually very nervy. Like the nerve, I felt like the nerve was like, if I had like my arm in a weird position, benching, like if I went too low, like I just didn't have the mobility that day or whatever, or I wasn't like set up properly, like it just like the nerve would just like click.
Yeah.
And I would like get that like little shock again where like when I tore it, I felt that like it hit I hit my funny bone type of thing. And I was like there, I'd be like, all right, is it there still?
Yeah,
like, we're good. And I would like do a couple, like just flexing it. And I never had any like, still to this day, like this probably is better than my left side. Like my right side is stronger than my left side. Like it never hurts. I never have like popping in it. Is there any wood around here?
Yeah, well, no, the reason I'm asking is because I've talked to a lot of people that have torn their pecs that have had the same procedure. And the ones that I'm going to say now that were stupid like me, I mean, I was benching with a straight bar 3 or 4 weeks. As soon as I had full range of motion, I was benching off a floorboard after like a week, with a reverse band on a fucking bar.
Yeah.
All those people that went that super aggressive route ended up having, God, for probably 2.5 years, just been doing speed bunch and be like, boom, like, oh, fuck. So then you go get it looked at. No, it's still there. I'm like, well, then what the fuck was it? Because it popped just like the other stuff. And then the ones that stayed away from the bench, like you did for months and then came back, don't have that.
Yeah.
So either way, 2 years later, both are kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
But the boat I is in sucked, man, because it's like, you never knew.
Yeah.
Like if it was to happen, I just hope to God it was 4 weeks out from a meet, because it would only put you out for maybe a week, 10 days, and then into the meet. But it was a timing issue. And then the meet would get closer. You're like, oh, fuck, I don't want to do anything. Because now it's too close.
Yeah.
And it finally went away, where it seems like, avoiding the bar, for at least a couple months, peptides, shit like that are going to help too, will reduce that to where what you end up is the nervy shit that you're talking about, which is just,
I think it's just how they like reroute stuff. My thing with the like, so like I was just like really thinking it through, like, what's the point of me rushing now to get back to where I was when it took me so long to get there?
Yeah, that's a smart way to think about it.
Yeah, like I mean, I had a lot of people in my ear, like, especially like my dad, because he's like, "You're gonna get hurt doing this," and like I'd get hurt, and now he's just like, just be as smart as possible. Like, so like I was just like, well, I'm not, I'm not done. Like at this point, like I like kind of got all like the mental, like, am I ever gonna do this again kind of thing, like out of the way.
Well, that's what I was going to ask about, because as the weights start creeping back up again, there's going to be a mental fuck that you have to deal with, so what was it like? That's what I was trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Right. Because the way I was processing it is, if I had to strain, granted the right arm was good, but if I had to strain this one as hard as I could with a reverse band bar, which is like 15 pounds, but I have to strain, as hard as I can, then mentally I'm going to deal with that.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go, and then I wouldn't have to deal with it when the weights got heavier.
Yeah.
And that did pan out. But because on the other end of that is, you don't do that, then you start getting a little bit stronger, then you get closer to those 400 pounds or whatever. For me, it was the fucking 400, because the dude said 400. It's like, oh shit, here we go. And that's like did you just train through it and kind of let it organically go away, or were you using visualization or shit like that to try to help get through it?
So I like did very small. I did very small jumps. So like I would just do like 225. Like it felt like every plate was like a new I don't even know what word I'm looking for, but it was like that if I hit 130, like when I hit 135, I was like, I got under it and I was like, oh shit, like,
yeah,
please stay together. And then I was like,
sometimes that's the hardest number to hit.
Yeah. And like, I just was like, all right, like I can't think about it. I'll overthink it. And that's when I'm going to tear it. Like, that's when I'm going to hurt myself, is just overthinking about it. So I was like, all right, this is 500 pounds. Just get under it and bench like it's 500 pounds. That's what I did. And then, I just kept doing that for every, like, it was like 185 didn't bother me. And then I'd do 225 and I'm like, like, here we go. And then,
no, I know the feeling.
It's like, well, how come 185 didn't bother me? 225 does. It's always that plate.
Yeah.
The extra 45. It was kind of the same thing. Like I just kept, like, I always was like, if it's going to go, like, this is it. This is the one. And I'm like, stop overthinking it. Just grab the bar, bench it like you did 185. It's no different. It's just, but 20 pounds more.
Yeah.
40 pounds more. 40 pounds more. Wow. The biggest one was the 405. And I don't know why, but 405, like, it took me forever to get past. And I strained my pecs, this actually my right one, so many times benching 405 in the past. And I hurt myself. Like, it just 405 like hurt me almost. Like, it was like, this is going to take me out, or I'm going to get past it and finally get past it. But 405 was really hard to get through. And then when I got to 500, I actually like didn't even think about it. Like, I just was like, we're at 500 again. Let's make it roll. Like, we're going to make it good. Like, if it rips, it rips. Like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I'm here. No one, like, my doctor probably didn't think I would get back to where I was. At one point, I didn't think I was going to get back to where I was. So I was like, I'm just going to bench 500. Like,
any issues with it when you competed in a meet?
No, never. After my surgery, I never had any. It's been completely fine.
Yeah.
It hasn't bothered me one bit.
So mine happened at a meet. So my issues were at the meet.
Yeah.
So I would get there and I'd be gun shy, and you try to psych yourself up, kind of like you were saying, like, just push through the fucker as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And was not hitting PRs, just close to all that. And then I came up with this fucked up idea. So I started visualizing worst case scenario as I was getting ready to go out the bench. Swear to God, like, I'm visualizing, I go down, it pops, the bar hits me in the head. They got to call you. They got to call 911, bring me out. And it would scare the fucking shit. I basically just scared the shit out of myself. So by the time I got there and grabbed it, I just wanted the fucker over with as fast as I possibly could. And my speed of my bench was never faster in my entire life.
Yeah.
And then after like 4 years, I couldn't do it and it went away. I'm like, fuck, like, how do I summon that shit again? Right? Because it was like, just get this fucker
just get it off of me. Yeah.
So I guess the moral of the story is you got to find what works for you, to be able to get through those.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny you said that, like, you visualized it snapping, like, after you got under the weight. So I actually, for some reason, every time I started squatting, I just like imagine both my knees blowing out. And I don't know why, because like, I guess because like when I blew my pec out, it didn't hurt. Like, nothing told me it was like, I need to back off. And like my squats, like, I'm like, nothing ever hurts. And I'm like, is this going to be the one? I'm going to tear it. They're going to blow out. And I would always, like, I'd be going down. I'm like, they're going to blow out. And it was just weird. Like, after I tore my pec, that's like, that was the thing that like bothered me. It was like squatting. Like, I always thought I was going to blow my knees out. So
it may make it, on the way down, it may make you be more conscious of where you're positioning it is all the way down, right?
Could be, yeah.
Who the fuck knows, right? Yeah. So, at what point, because we were talking about how you've evolved your training. So now you're basically on a conjugate-ish split. How long have you been running that type of programming for yourself?
So I left the garage gym. Let's see. It's been 3 years now, 4 years. Yeah. So I started training at this gym, XL Fitness. It's like a 45-minute drive for me, which I drive 45 minutes every single day. Go there right before work, and then my work's like 30 minutes in the opposite direction, of course. So I started training there, and I was like, I had no coach, and I was like, I'm just gonna, research, do a little bit more like work, or looking up like the like West Side stuff, and because like when I first started, that's what I kind of like did, the chains, the bands, switched up stuff, and it was fun. And I was like, I just need like, it's a new gym for me, and like I need to just switch it up and try something new. Well, old but new. So like I kind of put a feeler out there for like people to train with me, and it was still at like 2 p.m. So I had like a couple people reach out, and we started like, I was like, I don't have a coach, so I'm just gonna, kind of do my own thing. And when I started doing, I was like, I don't want to do the multiple sets anymore. So I know like Westside was like, you have like multiple sets and you just wave the weight up.
Yeah.
So I said, my set started at the bar. Like, so if I'm doing like 6 sets or like 8 sets or whatever, like that's my 8 sets are from the bar to my top set. I never do like, sometimes on my speed days, like we'll like just keep kind of throwing weight on and just like, we're like yelling at each other or whatever, just, move faster, stuff like that. And we'll just keep yelling. But for the most part, I was like, I'm just going to listen to how I feel every day. And I go into the gym. So Mondays are max effort days for squat. So we kind of like, we had no, like, that's all we knew. Like I would walk into the back room, be like, hey, so what do you want to do today for squat? Like that was like, oh, well, we'll do like 60 squat bar for a little bit. Like we both need that. So we'll do that for a little bit.
Now, when you do that, are you working up to a single? How are you working up there?
Yeah. So like, depending on where we are, I'll just say like, cause the off season, we'll do like, I don't do 5s. So it's like, it's going to be 3 reps. So if we like, I'll just work up to a heavy triple. And I always sucked at safety squat bar. I was like, I need to get this better. So my goal was, I wanted to hit 900 on the safety squat bar. And at the time, I think my best was like 650. I never pushed it. I never really did it because I hated it. And that's like one thing was like, if you suck at it, do it.
Yeah.
You'll get better. And it'll just help everything. So I started there with triple. I just worked out. I never like, my max effort days aren't like balls to the wall. Like I hate training to where like it hurts and I'm like grinding my gears. Like it's going to move like it's almost like speed kind of like it like moves pretty fast my first week. That way I gauge from like,
how long do you stay with that movement?
So it'd be like 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay.
And by 5 weeks, I'm like, I want to hit 900.
Okay.
So like I just progressed from like, say 650, the triple moved pretty easy. Like,
so you're holding back on week 1.
Yeah. Like just kind of like feeling where I am, what is like failing on me. Like my upper back would like cave a little bit. So like I would start putting in more upper back work, to like help, like on my upper body days, like I'm hammering upper back to help my squat.
Yeah.
So yeah, like week 1 would be like 650 for a triple. And then with my schedule changing, every single day pretty much, or each week, I would come in the next Monday and I knew like I need to hit this like certain number. And I'd kind of like, I knew I wanted to hit, so I want to hit 900 in 5 weeks. I'm like, this is kind of where I need to be, is like around the 750 or like 725. So like push 725. It might feel a little off just from working the night before, getting 4 hours of sleep, and then going into the gym, not having like as much food as I did last Monday. So every Monday, like I either work a Sunday night or I'm off a Sunday night. So like when I'm off that Sunday night, I slept 8-10 hours.
Yeah.
Got a ton of food in, ton of water, and I like feel great. So I kind of like would try to like plan my last heavy on that like week where I'm like, I sleep all weekend really good. I don't have to do anything. And then come in that Monday and, you know, crush it. But, so 725, move all right, a triple. And I'm like, next week I'm going to drop it to 2. Cause it was a little hard, you know, so I would move it to 2 and I'm like, I have to hit like 800 for 2. So then I would go 800 for 2. And kind of just like, that's like how my training is like, I don't stick to the same reps for those 4 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever we decide to do. It's kind of like this first week's easy, but sucky. Cause it's like either it's going to be like the 3, and I don't like ever do 5s, but you know, sometimes I will do a like set of 5. But that's like the highest reps is going to be that first week.
Yeah.
And then as the weeks go, you know, you're breaking down, you're getting tired, at least for me. So as I'm ramping up the weights faster, like my peak is like, I always like, I can peak a squat in like 4 weeks. Like I only need 4 or 5 weeks because I like just push the weight is lighter and then I just push it up fast and then drop the reps. So my intensity kind of like stays there, like the same, like it's always up high, but I'm just dropping the reps. So like, I'm not really, my volume is actually lower as I'm going up.
Yeah.
Or almost like relatively the same because my warm-ups obviously are getting heavier. So
then on that 6 week, the next exercise comes in and then you rotate through.
Yeah. So we would switch. So for squatting Fridays, we also do the dynamic effort. Like we'll do like a high box. So we're kind of like doing like chains or bands, just pretty fast, on that Friday as well. So we do Monday and Friday for max effort.
So how do you gauge the weight on that day?
It's really just like what is moving fast. If I feel like, it's by the end of the week, so we're like kind of beat up. It's kind of like it's like, I call it my, like, I never take a rest day. I have 1 rest day a week. It's Sunday. So it's like Thursday and Friday. Thursdays are like rest upper day. And then Friday is like our rest lower day. And it's just like, if it moves fast and I feel good, I could go up, but like, what's the point? Cause I want to push that Monday.
Yeah.
So we just like, I don't have like any numbers in mind. Like I'll just, you know, whatever the band tension is or chains, we'll have that set and then I'll just keep throwing plates on. And if like 3 plates is moving like really fast or like clanking around, I'm like, that works for me. And then we'll do like, you know, 5 sets there, just like back to back to back, like go, you get under the bar. When you're done, I'm under the bar kind of thing. Like my cardio.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever do cardio. And then that kind of just like, it almost builds my momentum for that Monday. Cause I'm like, Friday felt really good. Like it was, I don't even think about the number, but it was like 500 pounds, say, and I was moving it really fast and I felt good. So like, I know Monday is going to be like, I want that same intensity. Like I'm moving it fast and I feel strong.
Yeah. Now, when you go into a meet, does that Monday become the straight bar?
Yeah.
Okay. And now after that first movement, what's the second one for the max effort day?
So we'll either go like a cambered bar, or
I mean, on that day, not the next wave.
Oh, like
accessory wise.
Oh, accessory.
Right?
So yeah, we'll do that top set.
Yeah.
The triple or whatever. And then I don't do any back down. So I'm like, we're done. I do like a leg press. So I'll go and do leg press and we'll like hammer that out pretty heavy. Usually like sets of 8 to 12. And then I'll move them like kind of like control, almost like my squat. Like I squat very slow. So I kind of keep that same tempo to kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't like beat me up as much as like if I was doing the back downs and squatting.
Yeah.
So like I know I don't get like a lot of volume squatting, because I only do one top set and that's it. So I'm like, I need to do for my legs and lower body. I just need to hammer out leg press because it doesn't beat me up at all.
So how many other things will happen on that day?
Yeah. So we'll go leg press, and then we'll usually do like kind of depends, but we'll do like either split squats or Bulgarian split squats, and then or walking lunges. So we'll just like, what do you want to do that day? Like either, we'll switch back and forth.
Yeah.
So we'll do that for the next exercise, and then we'll do a leg extension. Usually like single leg. I like to do a lot of like single leg stuff because if you're squatting, you're using both legs. So I like to do single leg stuff for most of my accessories. And then we'll do one hamstring, so which is either just like a laying hamstring or seated.
All right. So you have the max effort movement that waves over 5 weeks. And then the secondary movement, which is a compound lift of some kind.
Yeah.
Leg press. It could be hack squat or whatever the fuck. It's just something hard.
Yeah.
And then you get into single leg shit, basically call it a day.
Yeah. And then like sometimes we'll be like, you want to go to core? We'll do like stand-in crunches kind of.
Yeah.
Stand-in. Yeah.
All right. So then on the dynamic day, does it work that same way?
So the dynamic day, we'll try to do, we'll do like sled. So we'll do reverse hyper after. So yeah, we'll do the squat. Sometimes we'll deadlift. Depends on how Wednesday goes. If we're like, we don't need a deadlift, we'll just like call it. Like I said, it's kind of like a rest day. So
yeah,
if we don't need to push it, we don't. But we'll do the squat, and then we'll do like a reverse hyper, and then usually like a sled, like pull.
All right.
Sled,
so Friday's like dynamic and restoration.
Yeah.
All right. So what's Wednesday then?
So Wednesday it's our max effort deadlift.
Okay.
So we'll do we'll do waves of either snatch grip off a box, snatch grip off a deficit, regular, conventional, whatever your competition stance is off the floor. So yeah, we'll switch those up, but each week we'll do it for like 3 weeks and then we'll switch.
Okay. Would you say that the majority of those Wednesdays are deadlifts using weight lower than what you can pull with a straight bar? I say that because you said snatch grip from a deficit.
Yeah. So, if we're not like in a meet prep, we usually we'll do like snatch grips. We'll like just kind of switch it up because it keeps it like fun. Almost like I don't want to have to like do conventional deadlift all the time. So we'll do like, let's snatch grip today. And if that's something we want to do for the next 3 weeks, we will. And then we'll either like lower the box or we'll do a deficit or and then like work up to the floor or work down to the floor.
Okay. And then what's the accessories on that day?
We just do a ton of back. So we'll go and do T-bar row, a seal row or pendulum row. So we'll switch between the seal row or the pendulum. However our back feels.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, we'll do low rows and everything's like, it's usually 3 to 4 sets. And then we'll do between 15, 20 reps.
So then are your bench days Tuesday and Thursday?
Yeah.
So how's that line up?
So Tuesday is the max effort upper.
Yeah.
For bench. And yeah, we'll do a straight bar we'll do a straight bar bench either with like chains, bands, or just straight weight. Same thing, like 4 weeks waves. And then the accessories after that are just a bunch of like we'll do a ton of triceps. So overhead, skull crushers, rolling dumbbells. And then we'll go into, I should back it up. So after benching, we'll either do dumbbell incline or dumbbell shoulder. And those usually are consisting of like 3 sets of 20. We just hammer the reps out because we don't do like a ton. Like I said, we don't do really a lot of back downs for any of the compound lifts. For bench, we do like one set extra, usually like an AMRAP. So like 225 or 315 for just as many as you can. So that's like kind of our only back down we do for the benching. And then we'll do like an incline dumbbell or a shoulder press dumbbell, and then go into the rollbacks with like tricep rollback, the dumbbell rollbacks. skull crushers, single arm. I do like a lot. I like a ton of single arm push downs.
Yeah. And those are all going to change.
Yeah. Mainly because of my right side being, tore it, I was, behind. So
now, can those accessories change every week? You're just basically doing what you think you need to do.
Yeah. I mean, we'll switch. We'll keep, like the single arm stuff we kind of keep in, but we'll just switch it. Like if we do in front of us, like a push down or like an overhead. Sometimes we'll do the skull crusher overhead, but yeah, it usually it'll switch. We'll do side raises sometimes, front raises for the shoulders and rear delts.
All right. So then Thursday is speed bench.
Yeah. So actually, we don't even really do speed bench. We do sometimes we do speed bench, but we haven't recently. It's just kind of been we'll do like a shoulder press. So for me, my biggest thing, like if my shoulders are strong, usually my bench is strong. I know it doesn't like correlate with everybody, but so like I'm always doing a shoulder press. So like Tuesday, if we decide to do an incline dumbbell, Thursday will be a shoulder press, and then we'll do usually an incline Smith machine. And then, so we don't really do like much benching.
So it'd be safe to say like Tuesday's more chest and tricep dominant and Thursday's more shoulder dominant.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we'll still do like a tricep extension on Thursday, but it's definitely more like rear delt or shoulder oriented.
All right. Then if you're leading into a meet, that max effort bench just becomes the bench.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll do just a max effort with either the chain or band. I like doing the chain on it, but we'll do we'll even add in like a board sometimes for like a top set, and then do the back off straight weight to the chest, and then we'll still keep the accessories like the shoulder press or the incline dumbbells, just for like the endurance part of it. And then as we get closer, it kind of drops off, or we just don't do as many reps, or they just get heavier, which then we don't do as many reps. So
yeah, why Tuesday and Thursday instead of bench Tuesday and Friday, and then the squat Monday and Thursday? Is it because the deadlift is on Wednesday?
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like the only thing that like tried like messing with doing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then like Saturday do another like accessory bench. But it seemed just like just doing it the Monday so I like doing it, like get all my heavy stuff out in the beginning of the week. Deadlift, it's your last thing when you do a meet, so you're gonna be the most beat up and tired. So why not do that in training as well? Because like by Wednesday you're like, I see what you're doing. I did a max effort. Yeah. I did a max effort squat and bench before already.
Yeah.
So by the time I'm like Wednesday, it's like I'm beat up. Like, so I just kind of always thought like, well, I'll just keep doing that, because by the time I'm done a meet, like deadlift's the last thing and you're already like fried.
Yeah. So looking at the effort over a period of a week, Thursday and Friday I don't want to say they're deloads, but the workload's way lower than what those other days are.
Yeah.
Right. And then the weekends are off.
Yeah. Saturday we'll like the all season, like right now we're doing just kind of like upper body, like what we missed maybe throughout the week or what we could work on. So just like a little bit, it's like kind of like a bodybuilding day. Don't have to think about it. Not like worried about hitting any type of like number. It's just like we'll do like a JM press and JM press, speed bench just because it feels good, and then just like the accessories like tricep. And
now if somebody new jumps in the crew with you guys and starts training with you intermediate level, how long does it take them to get acclimated to that?
So we started so at first it was me and Justin that started training, and it's kind of like the same schedule we had 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, we still have. We've had people come and go that just it didn't fit for them, like the schedule or like the training didn't fit for them, which is fine. Like not everybody's can do it, or wants to do it that way. And, so, and then we had Walker, he's here with us today, but, he came in like, I guess 2 years ago. And he went from like having a whole program doing 6 sets of 5 on everything, like compound lifts to what we do now. And his lifts have skyrocketed. They went he was squatting 600, now he's doing 800. I mean, it's 100 pounds a year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, the same thing as bench. Bench doesn't really make too much of a jump, but like 350 to, 440, he just doubled 435. This past week. So, I mean, I think it's just, it is a lot, I think, for some people, from like going from a coach and having like a set thing each week and like to like what we do.
Well, let me ask it a different way. The way that we kind of do it out here is, Saturday would be like a max effort squat, Sunday's max effort bench, and then the accessory shit's kind of during the week because they can do that wherever they want. That's a lot, right? Because it's 2 really heavy things back to back, which most people aren't used to doing because they're putting that day of rest in between there. And it will suck for a while, but usually after about 3 or 4 months, if they're diligent, then they'll adapt because people will look at what you're doing and say, oh my God, you can't recover from that. You can recover from pretty much anything if you give it long enough periods of time to adapt to it. So would you say if they come in, if they can make it through, that's the first thing, right? It's like, can they make it through?
It's like hell week of football.
Yeah. Like if they can make it through the 3 or 4 months, then it will start spinning back up.
Yeah.
But the reality is most people won't even make it through the first month.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like a lot of people, they'll find out if they're like eating and their recovery is not on point. Like if they're not having, they're not having all their meals, if they're not doing some sort of like recovery method, they'll find out that, that's what they're missing, I think, for their training and just in general, which whether they stick with it or not, it'll help. It makes them realize that maybe they should do that and it'll help if they stick with us or go to their own training. But I'm trying to think. So Nick, he just started with us, I'd say like 5 months ago. And he adapted to it pretty quick. He was used to doing like the cookie cutter stuff, I feel. But when he started training with us, like he was like, I want to say like our compound lifts don't beat you up as much as other programs, like because we're not doing.
No, I get it, because you're not doing all the sets with the heavy weight.
Yeah, so I think like the only thing you really have to adapt to is just like, okay, mentally this is gonna suck. I gotta max out my max effort my squat and max effort my bench, and then max effort deadlift afterwards. But like when you get past that, like, oh shit, this sucks, and just like this kind of like makes sense for a meet, because we don't do like SPD days. I think they're stupid, but I just think once you get past that, like you said, like the 4 months of like adapting, because you have to adapt to like every program.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you put me on a 5x5 right now, I'd probably die, even if it was like 50% of my max. Like there's no way I'm doing 25 reps.
Well, things change too when the bar gets over 800 pounds.
Yeah.
It's just the reality.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot of fucking weight. I mean, if you start looking at the workload, sets times reps times weight, that shit adds up real fast.
Yeah.
It's not the same as if it's 500, no matter if the effort's still the same. If the percentage is still the same, if they only squat 600, you've been through all these numbers.
Yeah.
So when you were squatting 650, doing 500 for 5x5, whatever.
Yeah.
But when those weights get bigger, it's like, fuck, just the first set you're trying to wrap your head around.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I always thought that too, is like, say if you're doing like, 500 for a 5x5, that's more obtainable than me doing 750 for a 5x5, even though I could probably do it, but I'm going to be more beat up after that than you probably will be doing the 500, 5x5.
Yeah. What I want to jump into is you tapped into, they need to be able to, the people you're training with, they need to be able to recover from the training, which is kind of funny to me because you work from 5:30 to 5:30. So you work shift work, right? So if you can find a way to recover from it, then everybody else should be able to find a way to recover from it.
Yeah.
So what does your work schedule look like? Is it, from what I heard, it was 5:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. 2 days on. And then how's that days off work?
Yeah. So like, so Monday, Tuesday, I'll work 5:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Then I'm off Wednesday, Thursday, and then I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's all 5:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. And then the following week, I'm off that Monday and Tuesday, and I work Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I work 7 days in 2 weeks. But the hardest part is the first week where I work, I don't want to say 5 days, but I work 5 days because I work Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So kind of like that's like the hardest part, because when I get off in the morning, by the time I get home at 6:30, and then I sleep until 10:30. And that's just so I wake up. I hate like rushing around in the morning or when I wake up. So like when I get up, I'm like, kind of just moving around, drinking some water. I I shower, I eat, and then I start making my food for that night's work. And then I'll have I usually just do, now I've been doing a pre-workout shake, because by the time I wake up, it's hard to get 2 meals in within those 2.5 hours, because I work out at 2. So I had to make a 45-minute drive to the gym. So I leave at like 1:15, drink my shake during that time, work out at 2, finish up around 4, eat my post-workout meal, driving to work, and then get there 5:30. Well, a little bit before.
How do you change your sleep on the days that you're off? So how late do you stay up is what I'm asking, I suppose.
So I actually I switch back to like a day shift. So I get up at 10:30 that day, and then I do all my same stuff, workout same time. And just after my workout, I just go home and I stay up until usually like 10 or 11. And then I sleep throughout the night.
You have no problem falling asleep?
Not at all. No. So like, I think because like since I'm only up overnight for 2 days, that by the time I'm like, I can't get used to it. So because I'm like right back to a day shift. And like, for me, it's hard to like, I wouldn't know what to do to like stay up overnight, like on my day off. I just like, I don't like do anything else besides work in the gym.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So I just go back to like a day shift, kind of like a normal schedule.
So when people ask you, and I'm sure they do, questions about shift work, what advice do you give them?
So this is kind of where like having or being your own coach in a way is like nice is that you have the ability to either push it or don't push it due to like when your scheduled shift work is. So like most people that work shift work probably don't work out on the days that they work, because it's so like jammed up.
Yeah.
Like if I was smart, I would just do it on my days off or the weekend that I'm off. But then it's just like so inconsistent. I hate like inconsistent. With like that, like with the gym, like I have to work out at 2 p.m. every day. Like it's just like it's always my thing. It's like my schedule. So kind of like the big thing I would say is just like finding a schedule that like you can manage, and then the workouts go like how you're feeling mentally, as in like if you're there's days where you like wake up and you're just like, I just want to sit on the couch until I gotta go to work. Like I have those days, but I'm like, I gotta go to the gym. So those days would probably, for most people, should be an easier, maybe like if you're doing a conjugate style, maybe like a dynamic effort day. Or just this, just an easier day where you're not like, you don't have to mentally prepare yourself to get under heavy weight or, push your body like past the limit. Yeah, I'd say like past those limits of like that you're able to go to like safely. Cause I mean, at some point, like your body's like breaking down, you're not recovering, I would say, fully. And if you're not mentally there, then you probably shouldn't be getting under heavy weight, because you're just piloting for an injury.
Yeah, but you're a lifter at the same time, right? Yeah, so that's where that mental fuck can come in, because you feel tired, then that voice goes off in your head that you're being a puss and you just need to just fucking do it.
Yeah.
So you got to control that.
That's what, for me, that's what I like, where I come in. I'm like, the guy that I'm trying to be is he's training, whether he has the easiest schedule, doesn't work at all, and just powerlifts and influences or whatever, and he can do this. He has no excuse, so why should I have an excuse? And I want to be the top. And like, as bad as it sounds, like lifting comes first for me. Like if I go to work tired, like I'm okay with that. Like I'll drink like 3 energy drinks. To stay awake. But like all my focus and energy goes into my workouts. So like you kind of have to pick and choose, like where, like you have to pick and choose your battles of whether is it the right time to push your body to the max in all aspects, like work and the gym. Like, say you have like a really big meet coming up and you want to hit, you want to win, or like just say like, you have to put all your focus in the gym. And you might lose some like outside of your life, but that's just like, as a lifter, a top lifter, that's just kind of like the sacrifices that you have to make. And it sucks saying that, but you don't get paid for it. But it's just like, I think that's where, like, for me, is some stuff, like some life, family stuff, I sacrifice to push more more mentally in the gym. And like, I'm like, I'll miss something because it like interferes with my 2 p.m. workout. So I just, I mean, you just have to make that choice. It's just a choice that you have to make, and you have to manage, whether you really want to be like the top, or you just want to progress for yourself.
So part of the recovery aspect for you is keeping all this other shit out of your life, outside of, training, work, and your girlfriend, right? That's it. Nothing else comes in there, because it's going to distract, which is kind of part of being all in to wanting to be the best you can be. Which ties into that mindset, that mentality of doing all that, where you'll make it work, but it sounds like you've also realized that you can't let all this other shit start to pile up in there, because it's going to impact your recovery, or the 4 hours of sleep that you're getting on those certain days. It's going to be less of that.
So my main thing is why I don't really work out on Saturdays and Sundays is like, I like save them for family time. So like usually, because of my schedule, like I'm off during the week. Most people are off during the weekends. So that's when like all the family stuff happens. So I'm like, I don't want to work out, because then I can actually make that stuff. Cause like family's still a very like high priority of mine. Like I don't want to be that, I don't want to say all in, but like, I don't want to push them away just to get to where I want to go. I don't want to be that selfish. And like, I can make that, I can make it work. So like, I can make it work to where I like push myself during the week and then have the Saturday, Sunday off, and maybe make a birthday party, or, I can sleep 4 hours and I don't have to go work out, but I can go, like this, Thanksgiving, like holidays are the worst for me because I got to travel everywhere and my workouts kind of suffer from it. And I know that, I know that's going to be a part of it. And I'm like, when I go to the gym, I'm like, because of I maybe I missed a workout because of Thanksgiving or something else family wise for holidays, that I'll push myself really hard that day, or I need to, I need to give a little bit more in my workout that day. Yeah. So you kind of just have to it's all managing your schedule, and really knowing when can you push it, or when you really want to, I guess.
I could also say that if your family is part of your support system, to make you a better lifter, then that only builds the team that's behind you.
Yeah.
Right. Because nobody gets there just on their own. Yeah. I mean, we can sit here and say it's an individual sport, but if you're fighting battles all the time with everybody around you compared to people that are supporting you,
that outside stress,
it's a lot of outside stress that occupies your brain, while you're trying to drive to the gym or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. And you might not think that even bother or it messes with you, but your body is, whether you're a top athlete or not, your body is still your body, and inflammation happens or those stress levels rise and your body's not 100%.
Yeah.
So it's kind of realizing that too.
So you're aware of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be. I mean,
well, you are now. I mean, so were you 8 years ago?
No.
Well, so you see what I'm saying?
People talk, the nice thing is now people talk about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't. I would say a lot of people didn't never talked about it before. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't out there. Just a lot of things, but
I think some things you kind of learn the hard way though too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I missed a lot of, I'd say, family things. I was very selfish. At the point where I switched and I was I really want to push for this. I was kind of that way. I would I wouldn't budge for anything. And I got stronger, but I'm still getting stronger now.
It's kind of a weird concept though, right? Because the way that I always looked at that was being the same way, going through the same evolution was, if I was playing in the NFL, I wouldn't have the resistance that I was having. You see, being selfish with everything that I was doing. Everybody would be cool with all that.
Yeah.
But because it was powerlifting and we don't make shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody's not cool with all that.
No.
But why? That's what would go through my head back then.
Yeah.
This makes no fucking sense to me, because if it was $1 million a year or whatever it was.
Yeah. If you could watch me on TV every Sunday,
it'd be a different fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's,
I guess a lot of people think it's just because it is only a hobby. And I mean,
is it though? I mean, when you're in it at the level that you are,
I don't think it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's, I would say the people that say it's only a hobby are either lying to themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Or it actually is.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
Right. Because at some point in time, it stops being a hobby.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, when it revolves around a certain time every day and you eat the same meal every day that you hate eating.
Yes. Well, it's the meal, it's the food, it's the consistency, it's the repetition.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot about it that we all love.
Yeah.
But there's a lot about it that you just have to do.
Yeah.
That you don't necessarily love.
Yeah.
But it has to be done.
Yeah. I mean, if it was a hobby for me, I would have probably been done when I squatted 1,000, because that was my biggest goal.
Mm-hmm.
Or when I did 2,200 pound raw total. If that's all I was like worried about, I would have been done. Which a lot of people are. Like that's, I mean, you see that a lot.
So what keeps you going now?
Top numbers. I'm always chasing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, now that I'm like getting into the equipment side of things, you know, there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I mean, now it's not even really chasing the numbers. It's like learning a whole new thing. So
with the equipment, what's your goals there? single ply, multiply? I mean,
so my goal in the only reason I did single ply was because I was training for the American Pro, which was in wraps, and I jumped into. I could have just waited, but I was like, I want to get into equipment now, and 2024 I wanted to focus on multiply. So I was like, what can I like? Single ply, you're not going out super wide in your stance. Like my stance kind of stayed the same. Bench was probably about the only different thing, and even then it wasn't like a terrible learning curve.
What so was different? Just learning the shirt or your actual bench groove?
Learning the shirt. Okay,
all right.
Which actually learning the shirt helped my raw bench.
Yeah.
Because the flaws, come out pretty quick. If flaws happen here, maybe in raw, I should work on it. And, it did help a lot. Same thing with my deadlift. But, so training for the American Pro, doing raw and single ply, trying to learn that pushing heavyweight raw and then heavyweight and gear or single ply was like a whole.
What's different, but the way that you have your training structured, it can kind of fit.
Yeah. So I did all my single ply stuff for like squats on my dynamic effort day.
Yeah.
I just did on the box squats. Because like I said, my stance didn't switch much. So like I was already already been under 1,000 pounds raw.
Yeah.
So like doing that in a suit didn't really feel like I needed to do max effort in my suit as many days. So
what felt different with did you feel more compression in the suit?
Yeah. So when I had to just to breathe on, it felt natural.
Yeah.
But when I threw the straps up, it was like a whole.
Yeah. Your head must pop off.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, since I was already like a slow squatter, like that building under that pressure kind of like didn't bother me, but like feeling like that tightness all around and then squatting slow, like I had to get used to that a little bit more. And then that was the biggest thing on bench was like the pressure on my chest from the shirt pressing into it, and then my triceps and my arm feeling it was going to snap from the pressure of the shirt. And then obviously the descent being a lot slower. So that was like the biggest learning curve, I would say, for the shirt.
How do you, as you move into multiply, how do you project your training is going to change because the load of the squat is going to be heavier?
Yeah. So I think my biggest thing for that is just learning how to get a little bit wider. And I think adapting to like the heavier weights is kind of almost the same as when I was doing 1,000. Like I was like for the American Pro, I squatted between raw and wraps, and in single ply, I was like I probably never went under 800 pounds for 12 weeks. And I was like I went up to 1,100 pounds with chains before. So like, I think adapting to the weight won't be an issue. I mean, I say that, but now I don't know how 1,200, 1,300 pounds feels.
Yeah.
But if I don't think it can be much different than feeling like when you first get under 1,000, like that pressure is still that pressure. So I think you just like you just adapt to it. You just build that ability to get used to that, like pressure wise.
So when you go into the off season,
this is all speculation because I've never been in multiply.
Well, yeah, I know that's why I'm throwing it out there, because it's you had to reduce the total workload of the top sets, just from being stronger, and now that's going to go up again. So if I was to project, there's probably going to be another reduction to where there's probably going to be no fucking triples at all. Yeah, no doubles. Yeah, just singles. And as the weight gets heavier and heavier, probably not squatting as heavy as frequently. It's just looking at others in multiply that have squatted over 1,100 pounds. It seems to be a common trait. Yeah, that the frequency that they can get under weights over 1,100 or it drops. Yeah, but the squatting doesn't. Yeah, it's just those days change.
Yeah, I also think like I know a lot of people don't like the straight weight, But like the difference between like a chained 1,100 pound squat and like a straight weight 1,100 pound squat is, I feel like it doesn't beat you up as much. Obviously, because you don't have it all the way through the full range of motion, but I think that'll like, I think for me, that's what helped me. Like, I got fast. So like squatting heavier weights faster made me like realize that I didn't need to squat 95%, 100% more often. And then like when I did need to do that, like 95, 100%, I would just put a chain on, and then I didn't do it straight weights. In my head, it didn't beat me up as much. Yeah. And even my body, like it didn't, like squatting 1,000 row on 1,000 with chains, I'd do chains all day long.
Oh, it's like, different. Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
So I think like if I can work that around, like you said, not, you don't have to squat heavy. You're not going to be able to squat that heavy every week. But I think working around, like, if I move this weight faster, then I know I'm getting stronger.
Yeah. So how do you incorporate the chains and the bands now?
So we'll just same thing, we'll do like 3 or 4 week waves with that. And we'll start with 400 pounds of chains. Bands, I usually just keep on speed days. I never really got strong with bands. Like I get faster, so I get stronger, but the strength I felt more with chains was like raw strength.
Yeah.
Where like the bands, it might have been 800-900 to 1,000 at the top, but I didn't feel like strong. I just felt like I moved that weight faster. So with that's why I keep the bands on like speed days. I don't really like them for the max effort days, and plus it like keeps you in like one spot on those. So the chains, I felt like I have a stability issue. So like the stability in chains, like because they sway a little bit more or shake more, has always helped me with my core or that stability issue.
So when you set them up to squat, how many links are you keeping on the ground, or are you letting them come all the way off?
So usually as I stand straight up, it's probably like 4 links around the ground.
Okay.
So the top end is like, it's 400 pounds at the top. Like we measure them with the 4 links on the ground, or how many links we have on there. And then we do that for 2 weeks. And then I try to so when I hit 1,100, I did 700 in bar weight and 400 in chains. And then I tapered. I was like, cause that's what I wanted to hit in the single ply.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I tapered the chains down, the bar weight up. So I went down to like 200 pounds of the chains, the bar weight up. And I was like around like 1,000, like 1,070. And that's what I hit at the single ply meet. So, we always start with like the heaviest chain, 400 pounds, and then taper it down and taper the weight up higher.
All right. So essentially what you're doing is you're tapering up the bottom of the squat each week.
Yeah.
The top staying the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Relatively. I mean, within like 50 pounds, I'd say.
Yeah. So with the bench, do you incorporate the bands and chains there?
For bench, I do the bands, when I'm like the 6 to 8 rep range. So like more like all season stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I do like the board press or pin press, I will add chains, like heavier chain. So I'll go like my last bench for the American Pro was like 550 at the top and then 530 on the pin, which was like an inch off my chest.
Yeah. Going back to the accessory work, not the second movement, not the leg press, because you already explained that's more controlled tempo. When you're doing more of the bodybuilding shit, are you training that like a Ronnie Coleman, or are you training that more controlled with full range of motion and muscle tension?
Yeah, I mean, it's to be full. Like I try to it's all like muscle and like mind muscle.
So you're trying to work the muscle, not the movement.
Yeah, because I don't have to use as much weight, and it doesn't because I'm already beating myself up the first 2 exercises. So like now I'm just like put a lot of blood in there. I already broke the muscle down, put a ton of blood in there, and then just kind of help with that like recovery.
Well, I think that's one thing that a lot of lifters, like 90%, fuck up because they'll hit those things. And I call it training the movement, not the muscle. They're just trying to use as much weight as they can and just muscle fucking it up for reps.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you can use half the weight, recover from it better, and probably get more blood and stimulus into the muscle by training it more bodybuilder-ish.
Yeah, we've all like thrown weight, like around heavy weight.
Yeah.
I mean, I never got anything really out of it compared to like what I'm doing now, I guess. More is, or like less is more in a lot of aspects. And I think with the accessories, you don't have to go balls to the wall on them, but you can train them just as hard with less like weight to like, just kind of like the weight is what kills your CNS. So if you can take half the weight and make it just as hard with slower tempo or actually using your muscle.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you gotta have strong muscles. You know, that's.
Well, you know what I'm talking about because you've seen lifters do, you know, what we're saying.
Yeah.
And we've all done it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, oh, fuck, we all did it, you know? So it's kind of a hard message to communicate, but it's easier when you guys are saying it too.
Yeah.
You know, because then like, oh shit, you know, maybe I don't need to use, 150 pounds for dumbbell presses is the third or fourth movement.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I try to think of like, if I'm not squatting, I'm not doing the one accessory I choose after to like really help my compound movement. I think about it just like I'm now recovering. Like this is my time to like rest my brain. Like I don't have to like go, I don't have to be all like, like crazy off the wall, like mentally. I can just like train this movement nice and easy and not think about it.
Going back
in a way of like,
you're still training hard,
but
right?
I'm not like getting all wired up. Like, I got to put wrist straps on, belt on, chalk up the ammonia.
For rolling tricep extensions, right?
Yeah.
You said something earlier about if it was with the yoke bar, and if you're squatting, you feel like your upper back's doing more work, you're going to put more upper back in. Do you, when you find that, if it's on that week one or just whenever it is on that main movement, do you start training that weak point that day?
So because we do the back Wednesday, I usually just wait until Wednesday to do it.
But then you'll prioritize it.
Yeah, so then it'll come into priority Wednesday with my back days because that's obviously a weak point, which my deadlift is also, it's going to help my deadlift, What comes with like the SSB bar is like, you see a lot of people, it rolls anyways, like it moves their chest caves. And like, my biggest thing is like for that, I'll just say like upper back. And like we do a lot of seated good mornings for that. Like, I would say that's one of my upper back movements is a seated good morning of just like, not like a traditional good morning, but like just your thoracic extension with the good morning, with the SSB.
So when you say thoracic, you're basically just hunching over and then flexing your upper back, or are you bending over more?
So like literally just like straight up and down, and then you just roll your upper back and then extend back.
Yeah. Up. Okay. So
basically the movement the SSB does when you're under load.
Yes.
So I just trained that like really hard.
Okay. So if you feel that's a weak point, that's your go-to.
Yeah.
Right. Then if it's not a weak point, that's probably not going to be in there because something else is going to be the issue.
Yeah.
Which will be in there.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up is this what we're talking about here is one of the downsides of working, if you're working with a coach, because you can communicate that by the time they actually put it back into the program, you could have already started addressing it.
Yeah.
That next training day.
Or they know what's best because they're the coach.
Well, there's that whole thing. I'm giving the coaches more credit here.
Yeah. I know. But I mean, you're right.
But these things matter though, the better you get, because those weak points, sometimes it just may be activation. Sometimes you might just be tired. You're just not focusing on it.
Yeah.
it may not actually be a weak point, but the sooner you can jump on it to find out, because say that Wednesday, you kind of know how much weight you can use for that thoracic seated good morning.
Yeah.
If on that Wednesday, you're like, what the fuck? It's 100 pounds more than you can normally use.
Yeah.
You're like, maybe it was just a bad day.
Yeah.
Maybe I was tired. Maybe it was something else.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm pretty sure you already know, from that, but that's the trials and errors that you kind of learn through that process. When did your nutrition change to where you became more cognizant of that?
So when I first hit the 242 reps squat all-time record, 959. Oh wait, no, it was 950, I think. Yeah, 950. I was like, I think this was like my all-in moment. I was like, I need to like, because with my schedule, I was kind of doing what was convenient. Like I would go to McDonald's, just fast food for most of my meals, whatever was, I drive there, get it. I don't do anything else. For that, I kind of like, I was like, I want to try like, I think more information was kind of coming back. I watch a lot of like bodybuilding podcasts too. And I think that helps. That also helped my nutrition, like what I needed to do. So I was like, I'm going to make everything consistent outside of lifting. So all my meals was, I wrote them all out, did them the same. My body, I was like watching my body weight, like where I was around 242, because I hate cutting. So I never like wanted to cut. I was 240, like for that entire prep pretty much. Like I didn't have to cut anything. And I was like, all right, this is good. Like I don't need to gain weight. My strength's going up. I feel good. My recovery's good. I'm just going to keep doing this, eating the same thing. It sucked because it was just like literally like chicken and rice. I would do beef here and there. And it was just very plain.
So where did the calories come in then? Just more of that?
Pretty much like I would like have oatmeal, and I'd start like throwing in like the fruits, honey, and just like kind of like small things to like get the calories up. The same thing with like the chicken and rice. Like I would just like add like barbecue sauce. Like I was like, I couldn't eat any more rice because I'm like doing like 300 grams of rice and like 5 ounces of beef or chicken, whichever one. So I was like, what's the easiest thing to do to like add calories? So sauces were like my main thing. And then if I ever wanted like more calories, like I would, here or there grab like a cheat meal, I guess you could say, or just like a crappy meal, which like I hated doing because it always make me feel crappy now because I'm like eating clean or like the consistent like same thing all the time. So if it wasn't that, it would just be like a shake. I would just like add in another shake. Well, like my calories didn't have to like really go too high. Like I was 244, so I was like good where I was. And then my training was like really good. This is when I was with Trevor still. And that's like when I hit so that I did that meet, and it was like it was my best meet I've ever done. I was 9 for 10. I hit my first 800-pound deadlift, and I said, fuck yeah, and it got DQ'd.
Yeah.
So I was 9 for 10 instead of 10 for 10. Because my fourth attempt, 950, was the all-time world record squat. So I was like, well, that makes sense. Like my diet was on point. Let me just keep doing that. And then I kind of always like enjoyed the look of bodybuilders. Like I just like wanted to like look decent. Like I knew like being a powerlifter, I wasn't going to be like shredded to the bone, that type of thing. Like, I just didn't want to be like fat and unhealthy to where, like, cause I wanted to do this for a while. So like, I just wanted to like build as much muscle and the strength would come. So I kind of was like, well, I need to start like really just keeping my diet the same and like really consistent. And just like from like seeing that and like my nutrition just cleaning up, I was like, well, I'm just gonna keep doing this because I've been doing it for the past 8-12 weeks and my numbers went, my total, I had a really good total. I felt the greatest during my meet. I feel like when I was like eating like crappy stuff here and there, the convenient stuff, like my blood sugar would be dropping, or like my workouts would just be like hit or miss. Like you kind of know, like if, it's like I didn't, what I do differently. And when you don't like change the factor every day, you just have the same, type of layout. You can see what you're doing. So
your training is kind of laid out that same way. So basically everything that you're doing is laid out in such a way that if something's off, it's pretty easy for you to go figure out.
Yeah. Or like you can add it or change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I just like kind of just kept that like through now. I mean, I haven't really, I have my moments where I go off a little bit and like, I'll go out and have like a dinner here and there and it doesn't bother me. So I still have that like freedom of, I don't really care like what I eat, but I do mind like having very consistent meals.
Yeah. With the crew that you train with and the guys that you train with, are they observant enough and empowered enough to be able to call you out on your bullshit or be able to see if something's technically off and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like my squats were always like, people would always say they were high and all this stuff. And, I always, I don't squat low. Like I always knew I don't squat low. I squat 2 parallel where I'm supposed to, maybe an inch high or maybe an inch low sometimes, you never know. But that's like one thing my training partners are the people that like keep me accountable for getting better. So I give it back to them. Like if that looked like shit, like back down, like take some weight off, make it look good, that same type of thing for me. Like if I'm super shaky and the stability is just not there on squats, like just maybe call it, maybe because the sleep got like called up to me or, just something just not there. Just no point in pushing it if I don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even if I'm in a meet prep where I need to push it, like still taking like maybe that step back and not, pushing it to where like I possibly do get injured or whatnot. It'll just maybe I don't have to go to that top set because all my warm-ups look crappy, which is, they tell me like, they're either like, all right, change this. If it doesn't work, you're done. Like, okay.
Yeah. So one interesting thing is with the nutrition thing, you noted that back when you were all in, you were eating like shit, right? Which is kind of interesting, right? Because you think if you were all in, you would be that, you see what I'm saying? So in one way, mentally now, you don't think you're as all in as what you were then, but you actually are probably more all in now than what you were then.
Yeah. All in or consistent.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the same thing?
Yeah.
Doing everything that you can do to get the highest result.
Yeah.
Where I think there's, a lot of lifters that, again, they go through these phases, they think that they're all in, but there's so many low hanging fruit things that they can clean up, just relationships in their life, as you talked about, the nutrition, all these other things that would allow them to be able to recover better. But they fight that demon of, I can't do that because if I do that, then I'm not really all in. Yeah. But then when you come through that, which seems like you have, then you're here. It's a weird thing because you kind of really think, well, back then I was really all in.
Shutting people out.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Where right now, where right now you're more than you were then.
Yeah.
Which always makes me wonder: is there another level?
Yeah.
That you haven't hit yet.
Yeah.
And what is that other level? And then what are the pieces that play into that? We don't know, but
I always say it's my sleep.
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes I'm like, I wish I could just like not work for a year and like really focus on my sleep to see if it is actually like a limiting factor. Cause like, I mean, when I sleep, I have like really good days, but like sometimes when I sleep for 3 hours, it's my best day. And I'm like, this sleep, sleep is important because like I miss sleep for, I sleep 3 hours for 2 days in a row. And my third day, I'm like, I need sleep.
Yeah. I think it's still the same battle though, right? Because even if that wasn't a factor and it was a different job or online trainer, whatever the hell it is, you're still going to be faced with the decision in the gym that, does this feel right? Does this not feel right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
Is really just listening, because your body is your body. Like, you know, it's the best, and you know, if it's off, or, you know, if you actually listen to yourself and don't want to like just tell yourself you're, you know, that's what my biggest thing is, just like, like if something feels off, like I'm done. Like, just call it a day.
Yeah.
You know, move on, maybe push something else harder. So, but I think a lot of like the outside life, is probably more important than the in the gym stuff.
Yeah.
Because if that's not right, then you can't get right for the gym, even though you think you are. Like, I mean, you can still come in and be like, I'm ready. Like, you know, fuck everything else outside, even though that just like you came in from a hard day at work, or a fight with your your significant other, or anything, you know, like you can try to block that out, but it's still there. It still raised something in your body because you're angry.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think that's like the biggest, for me at least, that's probably been the biggest thing, is like that, like my outside life is like 100%, is, you know, as much as it can be.
How much focus has to go into that?
I say as much as you put in, that you want to put into the gym as well. I think, like, I know that everybody says like the balance part is hard, but like you said, I said I was all in that one time where I was shutting people out, or, you know, doing that stuff. And then now I'm somewhere higher and I don't seem as all in, or I say I'm not as all in.
Yeah.
So I'm yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. Like, it's like a circle.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but it does make sense.
Well, it's kind of the process of getting better, I suppose.
Yeah. Because like you said, your support system is going to help you get better.
Yeah.
And if your outside life is that support system as well, then it's just going to help you out.
When you're at work, are the calls coming in constantly?
Some nights are, it's like, because I work at night, it's not as like busy during, like it is during the day. There's not as much like foot traffic, so it's not as bad. Like, we have our good days and bad days, I'd say. But between like the 911 calls, like the actual emergency calls aren't as stressful. Like, we get a lot of admin calls too, because I work on like an army base as well. So we get like a lot of more admin calls than anything.
Okay.
And then like 911 calls aren't as consistent. Like they're not like consistent, like emergencies that like mess with you.
Yeah.
At least for me, like my biggest thing is like, I see people get like so rattled up in like a call, and I'm just like, you're on the other line. Like, it's not you. You know what I mean? Like, like, that's why I tell myself, I'm like, I don't need to be all like jacked up and, you know, squirrely, I guess you can say, as like some of like other people that take calls, I feel.
How many times do you get the ones that, I don't want to say aren't emergencies, but make you want to, like, my cat got stuck in the tree?
Yeah. You know, a big thing is now is like, we receive a lot of calls about like people like saying their kid is like yelling or like trying to like rip curtains off the wall. I'm just like, you want an officer to walk out there and like do what? Like, that's like a parenting issue.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, like, we'll send them out there because you asked, but in the back of my head, I'm just like, that's a parenting issue.
Yeah. I remember when my kids were younger, my one kid twice he was going to call 911 on his brother just because his brother was pissing him off. Right. And, you know, like 30 seconds later, that call's happening.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking at the time, like, how many calls do they actually get?
Yeah.
You know, from a 8-year-old brother who's pissed off at his 7-year-old brother for taking a Tonka truck or whatever.
I mean, yeah, it's like some of the calls are, like you said, just kind of like, really? Like, you should not be holding this phone right now. Yeah. It's like, that should have been the last thing But, yeah, I mean, there are the times where it is a little bit stressful, but I'd never like, I have a nice like 45-minute drive home and I'm just clear. So
So you're able to separate.
Yeah. That's like, I always hate, I'm like, man, I'm so tired when I get off work. I'm like, I want to be like that person that has like that 5-minute drive. But then it always like, I feel like those are the people that bring it home because they don't have like time to wind down. Almost like my 45-minute drive, I'm just like calm, like just letting it out, like listen to whatever I want on the radio, stay awake. And
do you think that drive helps you go into the gym though too, to be able to get prepared for that?
Yeah, I mean, there's like definitely the times that I don't want to like get off. Like sometimes I'm just so tired. I'm just like, I should just take the day off. Like, I need to go to the gym, whether I hit a PR or not hit a PR, or, my accessories will be good because, whatever. And that drive really like changed. Like you hear like a song and it's just like, okay, that was a good song. Like, or something like that. You know what I mean?
It flips.
Yeah, it just flips. So
a few years ago, you made a trip to West Side.
Yeah. I guess like 2 years, 3 years ago.
What was Louis? I assume Louis was there at the time.
Yeah.
What was he able to help you with anything? Or anything that he spotted?
So he was the one that actually said to do things that I'm not like good at. So like he stuck me on a cambered bar, and I about died. I had like, I don't know what it was, like blues, heavy blues, and like it was like 4 plates to a box. Before then I never really box squatted or even did like the specialty bars. Or like the specialty bars as like a full, like a wave.
Yeah.
And I did that thing and I was like shaking like a leaf, and he was like, you should keep doing this. It's going to help you. Just like, one, switch it up, but also it's going to benefit you and your stability. Cause that was like the main thing he like really noticed was my stability was like really bad with it. And he was like, keep doing this and it'll probably help your straight bar squat. I'm like, okay, sure. Like, I'm not going to say no. Like this, I've always wanted to go to West Side. So I was like, I'm going to soak it all in, like everything I can. So I like, that's when I like started really getting into specialty bars and shooting for numbers that like, my goal was to hit like 1,000 on every bar, whether it was straight weight or like band and chain or, something like that. So like once I started like pushing those specialty bars, my like the feel under a straight bar, straight weight just was like, it was a world of difference. And my like strength just like skyrocketed too. I think that's what really helped me push. Like, I mean, I hit the 950 and then probably into like the thousands, I'd say it helped me a lot.
What prompted you to want to go?
I think it felt like a challenge almost because it was an invite only.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was almost just like trying to be noticed by him to like get that invite almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted like same thing with like the animal cage. Like I needed to do something really impressive to get like push myself even more. And that's like kind of where like the goal driven, like me setting like I want to squat 1,100. Like, okay, that's cool. I'll probably do it. But like, what like getting an invite to somewhere
mm-hmm.
like that seems like more like beneficial or congratulating almost to me than just like me doing it in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing like coming out of it.
So what is that thing that you're shooting for now?
Really like for the equipment, I'd say is the 3,000 pound total. So
now is this fully committing to that, or are you going to still do the raw throughout next year with that competitively?
So I do have like one raw meet lined up. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do it or not because that one's in April. And then I got invited to do the showdown at the Storm in May, which would be my first multi-ply meet. So it kind of really all depends on how I adapt to the multi-ply because like I think my raw strength it being as high as I don't want to say as high as it is, but as high as it is, has helped me like push into the single ply, which I know wasn't like a huge transition, but I think just having that base is going to help me like really get into the multi-ply numbers that I want. And I think like having to like training raw for me, like I want to keep training raw, like actually raw and not like putting briefs on. Cause I have those 2 days. And if I move, like I said, if I'm moving weight fast, like I know I'm getting stronger. So that's what I want to keep doing with my like raw, like I'm going to flip flop both days, kind of thing.
Okay.
So like my like max effort won't always be in a suit. It'll like also be a, a weight deload because I'm not pushing into the thousands. I'll be squatting raw like into the eights.
Okay. I get it. Right. So the raw is actually going to become the deload where the gear is going to be.
Yeah. And then I'll still have the dynamic effort day, which will be in briefs that Friday.
Yeah.
That's kind of like that. Like I said, this is all like kind of speculation. I don't really know until I get into it and how I feel. And it may change a lot or it may not. And what I'm thinking, might go a long way and I might, adapt to it very well. But that's kind of like where mentally I am now with it. And like with the programming wise.
Yeah.
So
were there any topics you wanted to go over I didn't bring up?
I think so. We covered a lot.
Restoration's one either. So what do you do for restoration? We talked a little bit about how you physically structure your training for restoration, but are there any restoration modalities or anything that you use for, you have a training day, then that training day beat the shit out of you and you're under where you should be recovery wise. Is there anything that you do to try to bring that back up?
Yeah. So, kind of like PT and massage stuff. So like every week I have a PT where I like, if something's bothering me or nagging, like I'll do, dry needling into it or just deep tissue, but I always get, I try to get a deep tissue every 2 weeks. I'd like to do it every week. I just get like a 30-minute one and just work on like either lower or upper. And then I'll like whatever my PT didn't hit, I'll do with the massage.
Okay.
So those are my two things. I get like, I guess it's called body work twice a week. And then I was on a kick for like cold baths for a little bit. So those are not like, they're not 100% consistent, but I do throw them in like a couple times a month, I'd say.
What do you notice from it?
I feel like it just brings that like the mental inflammation down. Like I just like separate myself from like, cause you're getting numb. Like you feel that numbing feeling and it just feels like you're just floating almost. So I kind of like I almost like let like all my stresses go. Like I just let it like freeze with my body. So like I kind of like just when I'm like there, it sucks, but it feels like just like I'm floating, like just the body is just like releasing everything.
Yeah.
Like all my stresses are gone, like my inflammation in my brain, the brain fog kind of feel is kind of like all out.
So when you're just chilling out on the days with your girlfriend or you're trying to stay up later, on those days, what do you watch? Or are you a video game guy?
No video games. That just makes me angry. I suck at them. We'll watch anything. Really.
What's the last thing that you watched?
Reality. What is it? It's on Netflix, like Love Island or something. Yeah, just some very stupid reality, like TV.
Stupid shit.
Like, yeah, because then it's like I don't even have to like think about like I'm just like people are this dumb, like you know what I mean? Like it just like takes my mind off like real. It is reality TV, but like real life.
Yeah, well, you don't even have to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Like some movies, sometimes you gotta like pay attention too much.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, like too much focus. Yeah, just like the Christmas stuff on Netflix right now. Just kind of just calm, like relax, just calm stuff, but just hanging out. It's good.
I went back and started. You ever watch Reacher?
I just season 2 just came out.
Yeah, I know. I went back and watched all season 1 before watching season 2.
Yeah,
and forgot how fucking awesome it was. Right, so I just got through season 1. Yeah, funny as hell, man. Some of the stuff in there is just funnier than hell.
Yeah, I just started it last night at work. I was like,
season 2.
Yeah, so I worked. So I've been up since like 11 a.m. yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked all night, flew here, and now I'm here. But so like all night I was just like watching as many episodes as I could, just like through the night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I knew I had this today, and I was like super excited.
So
like,
is all season 2 out now, or is it just so many episodes?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's all the episodes. Yeah, I know it's a bunch.
I hate it when I start and there's only like 3 fucking episodes.
Like wait till like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, like God, no, man. I'd rather just not watch, or I'll just wait.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I don't think no. I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
So the best way to reach you or to follow you is Instagram.
Yeah. I don't really. I use like Facebook stuff, like more family stuff than anything. But yeah, Instagram, I'd say.
All right, we'll put a link to that in our description. I want to thank you for coming out. Look forward to training for you guys this weekend. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, man. It's gonna be a good fucking time. All right, so guys, we're done. Thank you.
It's not going to your organs. So your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, your heart are not getting the support from your body that they need, because you've given your body this very strong signal that it needs to go to muscle. Mm-hmm. So if you were to stay on a huge amount of androgens for never mind years, decades, that's when you see organ damage, things start to grow,